Hello, everybody. I am tonight. I'm going to be working on the first the first day of the Popeye drawing challenge. It should be the Popeye and Olive drawing challenge, but it's kind of a long title because this year marks the 100th anniversary of the creation of olive oil. And it also is the 90th anniversary of Popeye the Sailor. Specifically for Popeye, January 17th is the anniversary of his first appearance. Olive Oil, her first appearance was in the comic strip Thimble Theater in what was it, December 18th. But since her anniversary is quite a ways away, we'll just stick with the Popeye drawing challenge title. I'm doing some inviting. Well, some people have already signed on. Fantastic. All right, so the first night is Poopdeckpappy. For those of you who don't know, Poopdeckpappy is Popeye's long lost father. Popeye hadn't seen him since he was a wee infant, as he puts it, infant. When Pappy just kind of left. Oops, that's a little bit too high. And then Popeye went searching for him in the comic strip, the Popeye comic strip. I don't know what year it was. And this could also be a like a how-to for how to draw Popeye. See, right now I'm doing basic shapes. I don't normally do this because I can draw Popeye quickly enough. But this way it acts as a tutorial as well. Now, the nice thing about doing a Popeye is I've been drawing Popeye since I was 7 years old, and the Popeye characters, so I have the hang of it pretty well. I don't take as long to draw them. Now, this is the 90th anniversary of Popeye. There is a little bit of celebration. Just not as much as like Mickey Mouse's 90th anniversary. Don't even get me started on that. But there are a few things going on involving Popeye. There's a company that started a YouTube page of new Popeye cartoons. They're just like little 3-minute cartoons. They're pantomime, except for a couple of like oohs and ahs or something like that from the characters. But it's directed towards little kids, like preschool age kind of thing. So it's not going to be your grandpappy or your great-grandpappy's Popeye. To draw the attention of little kids, which, you know, is perfect that way. Hopefully there'll be some more interest in Popeye. And King Features, who owns Popeye, also, how do I put it? Asked some different cartoonists if they would be willing to do a single comic strip daily in honor of Popeye. Other than that, I don't really know of any other celebrations going on. And I got this idea of the drawing challenge from the Stan Lee drawing challenge that somebody had started. Okay, I'm going to be right back. I just realized that I don't have an eraser here. There we go. I got normally I would be drawing lighter than this, but I want the camera to be able to pick up what I'm drawing. Because what's the point of doing a video if nobody can see what's being done? Now, basically what you're looking at right now is Popeye. And actually, I gotta fix his arm. It's a little bit too long. It looks like I'm gonna have to shrink his head down a little bit. A couple of differences between Popeye and Pappy is that first off, Pappy has a beard, and he's was it 99 years old or 95? I can't remember. But visually, Popeye has the red collar, Pappy has black. Popeye's shirt is tucked in, Pappy's is hanging kind of sloppy. And Popeye has a belt, Pappy doesn't. There we go, that's more in proportion. I got a little carried away. Yeah, his head still looks a little big, but I'm also drawing at an angle. Normally I'm kind of hovering over the picture a little bit more, but I don't want to smack my head against the camera because it takes too freaking long to get it in the right position. It's not a matter of laziness in this case. It's that I'm doing this live. All right, now let me see. I don't really want to ink yet because I want to add color. And for the color, for the skin color, I'm going to be using Copic markers. And for the pants and the pipe and everything, I'll be using watercolor pens. Oh, that's right, I'm using horrible paper. I'm not using drawing paper, so this looks awful. And I also colored in his beard. Boy, I'm on a roll tonight. Oh, one of the other differences between Popeye and Pappy is Pappy doesn't have the tattoos that Popeye has on his forearms. And I'm breaking one of my own rules. When I'm teaching, I always tell my students to do the light colors, the lightest colors first, like yellow. And of course, I skipped that. I guess it's one of those do as I say, not as I do kind of situations. Now, the Copic markers and the watercolor paints, one of the problems with using those is that they're very transparent, so you'll be able to see pencil lines. That's why I was trying to erase as much as I could find. Before I added any marker or paint. Now, if you're just coming in, I'm doing the first sketch of the Popeye challenge, which I chose Poopdeckpappy because he's so similar to Popeye. And if you yourself are an artist, I really encourage you to give this a shot, doing the challenge. it's just nice to see other people's take on characters. And some of the characters you might not recognize when you go down the list. That's what Wikipedia is for. Or you can just write me and ask. Feel free to ask questions now if you'd like, if you have any questions. I decided to do the Popeye challenge because I stole the idea from the Stan Lee drawing challenge. And there's just not enough Popeye in the world. I know everybody already knows I have a strange obsession with Popeye, but tough. He's been around for 90 years as of the 17th of January this year. All right, now I need blue for the pants. Oh, I made his legs really short, didn't I? Now, Popeye and Pappy, both of them share a quality with me physically that we all have short, stumpy legs and long torsos. But I think I made Pappy's torso a little bit too long here. Now, for those of you who like watching the cartoons, they do have the old black and white cartoons, the Fleischer Studios ones, the originals. They play those every so often on AMC channel, but I'm not sure when exactly. I just have my DVR set to record them. And of course, there's always YouTube, has a large variety, including a more kid-friendly one that they just created. They put an episode out, I think, every week, every Sunday. There's no pipe. There's no violence. Like I said, it's made with kids in mind, little kids. And like I said earlier in the video, it's not your granddaddy's Popeye cartoons. But YouTube does have plenty of the famous studios and the 1960s Popeyes, plus the Popeye cartoons that Warner Brothers, or not Warner Brothers, but Hanna-Barbera had created in the late 70s and early 80s. At that point, there were more strict rules for violence on television in cartoons than there had been. So those cartoons are they're really watered down. Some of my favorite of the original cartoons, the Fleischer shorts, were with Pappy. I've always liked Pappy. And in the comic strip, the E.C. Segar created Thimble Theater, and then later Thimble Theater starring Popeye, and then just became Popeye. Some of my favorite comic strips involved Pappy and Wimpy. I thought Wimpy really stole the show when he was in any of the dailies. because Wimpy was a little bit more, he was a moocher. He was more attuned to not breaking rules, but he didn't have as much of a problem playing dirty if he needed. And what some people don't realize, because they've spent, if they know anything about Popeye, they know, Olive Oil is always needing rescued. She was always very fickle. But in the original comic strip, Thimble Theater, and then later Popeye, Olive Oil was very independent, was a lot more independent. She was able to stand up for herself a lot more than the cartoons showed. She was also willing to fight for her man. And she wasn't anywhere near as fickle. She would have occasionally, her eye would wander every so often, but she always went back to Popeye. Now, I'm getting white paint out because I screwed up and accidentally filled in Pappy's beard. We should have white whiskers. There we go. And then I'll be able to bring in more detail in a little bit on the beard. Of course, now his beard is whiter than his hat. But oh well. See, this has always been my dream, to be able to do this professionally. Be able to draw Popeye on a professional level, but it never came to be. Now, since Pappy's collar and shirt are all black, I need to be careful to be able to separate the two. And one very common, I don't want to say trick because it's not really a trick, but is to have a little bit of a white highlight along the area that you want to separate the two black items. And it doesn't have to be white, it could be blue, but you want to start off with white and then color blue. Or just keep it white. See if that way it separates. Same with the sleeve of the shirt. And I'll do it on this sleeve as well. Now, if you know anybody who's a fan of Popeye, I suggest you direct them my way on Facebook, because I'm always posting on Facebook the drawings that I do for these daily challenges. And I might not do a daily video, because I tend to take more time than I want during the video, and I know it gets very boring to watch. Plus, there's no laugh track, and I'm not that funny, so there's no need for a laugh track. At least laugh tracks kind of break up the monotony of the silence on TV shows. Oh, and you know what? I didn't make Pappy's pants quite right, because he usually has them a little bit sloppier looking, like hanging over his shoes or boots. I'm not really quite sure if they're supposed to be boots or shoes. All right, so now I can start going into the inking. I'm not going to go anywhere near the beard because the beard isn't dry yet. One of the reasons I'm such a fan of Pappy is he is a curmudgeon. He's just grumpy as can be and doesn't really like anybody. And what some people don't realize is the reason that Pappy even came into existence is because when Popeye was in the comic strips and then eventually in the animated features, he started becoming more popular. And early on, Popeye did more swearing and was a little bit more violent and tend to say a little bit more offensive things. Not that bad, really, but it was enough for the publisher, Hearst Publishing, William Hearst specifically, the owner, they told the Popeye creator, E.C. Segar, that they needed to make Popeye more kid-friendly, so he can't swear anymore, he can't drink. He has to have a positive message and stuff like that, which he did already, but they really wanted to stress that he needed to be more personable. So E.C. Segar agreed, but kind of in retaliation, he created Pappy, who took the rest of Popeye's more negative character traits. So poopdeckpappy became a hard fighting, hard dancing, swearing, drinking grump who is more than happy to pick a fight at any moment with anyone. Oops. Coming to the conclusion of the drawing, I'm adding a little shadow under his feet a little bit. Helps to ground him to the floor so it doesn't look like he's just floating in space. Clean up this edge here. Oops. Got a couple of fingernails there. And then always put the artist's signature. And I usually try, and I always tell my students, give credit where credit is due. So if there's somebody who, if you're working on a character that somebody else created, you give them credit. Poopdeckpappy, created by EC Cigar, and this was the 2019 Popeye. And I really hope that this catches on. This drawing challenge. It's only 2 weeks. It'd be nice to see some professionals get involved, like comic book professionals and cartoon professionals. I do have some on my friends lists, but you know, they're professionals for a reason, because they're busy working. So it's understandable if they can't participate. Day 1. Oops. Looks like it might. Hey, look at that. There we go. There we have poopdeckpappy in all his grumpy glory. So thanks for tuning in. It was a half hour earlier than most of my things go. I could have just done a black and white drawing. Wouldn't have taken as long. I might do that from now on for the Popeye challenge. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for some more live video streams. And have a good night.